A multi-million-dollar project to improve Watertown's drinking water may not need to happen immediately. The engineering firm GHD updated City Council for the first time in more than a year. The project will reduce the amount of 2 disinfection byproducts in the city's drinking water after the levels slightly exceeded federal guidelines. But since the middle of last year, the project director, Kevin Castro, says that levels are much lower. Still, Castro warns conditions that cause higher levels of byproduct could return.
There have been changes in the operations such that the chlorine levels are managed to a little closer range than they had been in the past. And the part that's uncertain is really the nature of the organics in the Black River. Those things can change seasonally, annually, and I would suspect that there has been some basic changes in the chemistry of the water in terms of the organic makeup.
With the levels trending downward, Councilmember Ben Schoen asked whether the project is still needed. Castro says it will be up to the Environmental Protection Agency to interpret the numbers, but GHD will look into it.